What would you do if you knew an earthquake was about to hit? Last month, folks in California wine country found out for themselves. A new system called Shake Alert warned about 21,000 people near Santa Rosa. It gave them just a few seconds to seek cover with instructions on how to do so. But those few seconds were enough. The 4.4 magnitude earthquake was a real-world test of the nation's new Shake Alert system. How does it work? And what's next? Joining us now is Dr. Robert Groot. He chairs the U.S. Geological Survey's Shake Alert Joint Committee for Communication, Education, Outreach, and Technical Engagement. Dr. Groot, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Let's go back to that earthquake in the Santa Rosa area. Tell me how Shake Alert worked in that situation, what it did, and how we know that the system worked as intended.
Shake Alert performed during that earthquake in Santa Rosa exactly as we expected. It's actually a Shake Alert success story. It had all of the characteristics that we wanted to see out of the performance of the system in detecting this earthquake and getting alerts out to people throughout the Northern California region.
How does Shake Alert work? How does it do what it does?
So it's pretty simple, and let me start with an analogy. We all do thunder early warning of sorts. What we do is we see a flash of light in the sky, and our eyes are the detectors. We think that, well, thunder is coming, and so we react to that thunder by taking some sort of action, putting our fingers in our ears. And that's exactly how earthquake early warning works, is that we detect an earthquake once it reaches the surface. We move that information from where the earthquake is detected to a processing center, where in turn that information is processed, and then we find out the estimate of the size of the earthquake, the location of the earthquake, and also how much it could shake around that earthquake. And then we make that information available to technical partners who then take that information and deliver alerts to people's cell phones, slow down trains, close valves to protect water supplies, open firehouse doors, all kinds of applications.
So it sounds like there are two parts to this system. One is the raw data that the U.S. Geological Survey can provide with networks of seismographs all over the place. And then two is sort of the communications piece that would purvey it to an everyday person or to civic institutions or government institutions so they can respond quickly. Is that it?
That's exactly it. So the USGS's role is to produce the data that is then taken by our technical partners, who then deliver the Shake Alert powered alerts to people on their cell phones. That gives them information that says something along the lines of earthquake detected, drop, cover, hold on, protect yourself. Tells people what's going on, what to do, and that you need to do it quickly. And importantly, too, that it comes from an authoritative source like the USGS. And so that's actually a critical piece of what we do, is we're very interested in optimizing how people interact with the Shake Alert system. So we want to make sure that people do the right thing. So we're spending a lot of time studying what people do during earthquakes so that we can optimize the human behavior and make that part of the operation as fast as possible.
Shake Alert has been in the works for a while. I remember when I lived in the Bay Area years ago, there was a lot of talk about how far behind the United States was, because we're not the first ones to have this kind of a detection system, and the push to have something similar to this had been going on for a while to put enough seismographs and create the interfaces with governments and so on, and it's finally kind of come together. I know there's still room for improvement. There was a tweet that went out not too long ago from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network about a tweet near Sweet Home, Oregon that was a magnitude 4.4. The threshold to send it out was a 4.5 as a cell phone alert, so people felt it, but they didn't necessarily get the alert on their phone. Now that Shake Alert is up and running, what's next for this? I know there are more parts of the country where there's more seismic activity because of fracking, and there are plenty of fault lines, the San Andreas, the Hayward, the Hollywood, that seem pretty much due to slip any day now.
Yes, Shake Alert is in a constant state of improvement, and we're currently operational in California, Oregon, and Washington, and one of the things that we need to do is complete the build-out of the seismic network in all three states. We're about 80% complete. We're also optimizing the earthquake detection algorithms that detect the earthquake quickly. We also want to be able to detect and characterize the biggest of earthquakes. So a really big earthquake in the United States back in 1964 was in Alaska. It was a magnitude 9.2. We want to be able to characterize those biggest of earthquakes, but they happen very infrequently. So we need to continue to improve the algorithms to make that happen. We're also using different earthquake sensors. We're bringing those online soon to help us see a different piece of the earthquake so that we can figure out what's happening much more quickly. So there's always something going on. And we're also studying what people do in earthquakes. So that's why we're spending so much time doing social science so that we can understand how people interact with the earthquake so that we can make the system better and keep people safer.
And in our last few seconds, what should someone do if they get one of these alerts? What's the immediate guidance for how to deal with that? Very briefly before we go.
Yes, if people get an alert or feel shaking, drop, cover, and hold on, and make earthquake early warning part of your earthquake preparedness toolbox.
Dr. Robert DeGroot, I'm so glad to see Shake Alert up and running. It's a system that's been needed for a really long time, and I'm glad it's finally in the works. Thanks for making time for us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.